This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. One longtime city councilor wants to see homeless encampments banned from major streets around Winnipeg. He says not only are they unsightly, but also dangerous. However, others say this proposal could also bring a host of other issues.
It's hard to miss a large homeless encampment set up along a busy Disraeli freeway. City Councilor Jeff Brawadi is pushing to ban encampments along busy streets because they aren't safe.
The challenge on the side of roadways is people who are experiencing addictions and mental health issues. They're panhandling, they're wandering into traffic.
A motion was tabled last week to ban encampments in public places like playgrounds and community gardens where children gather. Brawadi wants to add busy roadways.
Not pretending that this is going to fix the ills of our city, but recognizing that this is a safety issue and it does fall clearly in our scope of responsibility.
The city has given Main Street Project the exclusive contract for outreach with the city's most vulnerable population. Executive Director Jamil Mahmood says the city needs more housing and a ban isn't the solution.
We can play what's it called, whack-a-mole with encampments and move them all around the city, but does that benefit anybody? Does that address the problem? Does that lead to long-term solutions? We don't think so.
Mahmood questions if the city can legally implement a ban on encampments. He echoes the Manitoba Professional Property Managers Association. It says housing a vulnerable population without workers to support them makes it hard for tenants to succeed.
After 5 p.m. on a weekday, you couldn't find support. And if people were flailing, you ended up having to treat them like any other tenant. It's like, I'm sorry, you can't live here anymore if you can't act like a person should act in a building.
Winnipeg Mayor Scott Gillingham supports Brawadi's motion to ban encampments along major routes. In a statement to CBC, he says in part, "When people are camping close to major roadways, it raises serious safety concerns for them and for drivers. That's why I support looking at whether encampments should be restricted in these areas. The goal is to clean up encampments in a way that keeps people safe and can stand up to a legal challenge." City Council will meet in September to debate the motion. Mike Arsenault, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Measles cases in the province continue to rise, with a dozen new cases being reported. CBC News has learned the highly infectious disease has caused 7 hospitalizations this year, and in one case, the patient had to be admitted into intensive care. Zubina Ahmed has more.
Cases of measles in Manitoba continue to rise. According to the province's most recent data, Manitoba has confirmed 158 measles cases and 9 probable cases up until July 19. There were 72 confirmed measles cases recorded by the province in May, 28 confirmed cases in June, and 39 confirmed cases were recorded in July. Cynthia Carr is an epidemiologist and health policy expert with EPI Research, Inc. She says this rise in cases of measles across Manitoba is concerning.
We're certainly not seeing any kind of a decline that would make us comfortable. And given how easily transmissible the measles virus is to anyone who is not protected, your chances of being infected are very high.
Dr. Santina Ali is a provincial medical officer of health. She says between January and July, there have been 7 cases of measles in the province that have required hospitalization and 1 case that required admission to ICU.
Some of the more common complications of measles is related to breathing difficulties, whether that's directly from the measles infection or a pneumonia. There are other complications that are a little bit more rare, but such as brain swelling or what we would call encephalitis, and those could also potentially result in hospitalization.
According to Shared Health, active screening of visitors began at health sciences centers, neonatal intensive care unit, children's hospital, and ambulatory care clinics. Patients will be screened either at reception or via an intercom before entering the care area. Dr. Lee says this step is good to ensure patients and families are safe. Zubina Ahmed, CBC News, Winnipeg.
There's some changes at Folklorama this year with the First Nations Pavilion pulling out. Organizers say it's because of the ongoing wildfires, saying the focus must shift to supporting those displaced. Folklorama's executive director says while they're disappointed, they stand with them in the decision, adding the well-being of evacuees must come first. As a result, the Brazil Pavilion is moving to week 2 and will be in a different part of the convention center to accommodate the current emergency shelter. Manitoba's accessibility minister says she's continuing to find ways to do better, several weeks after she was caught on camera criticizing a sign language interpreter. Nahani Fontaine announced more than $800,000 in accessibility grants being doled out to more than 30 different organizations. The program provides one-time project-based grants to help remove barriers and support compliance with accessibility laws. Fontaine says work is underway to better enforce accessibility standards, which could mean fines for businesses who failed to comply. An example, not having a wheelchair ramp where required by law. She says it's something the community has been fighting for.
The community's been asking for it for years and years. And 2, our compliance secretariat works very, very closely with individuals. So it's kind of like a last resort for those folks that, again, are really resistant to accessibility.
Fontaine also says her department will have sign language interpreters at all public events, and the government will hire 2 dedicated interpreters to support all their departments. It comes after the minister apologized for previous remarks she made about being thrown off by a sign language interpreter's presence on stage with her. More than $6 million in funding is being handed out by 2 levels of government in hopes of helping the province's local food processors. A total of 19 businesses in Manitoba have been approved for funding from the province and federal government. It helps cover costs for equipment upgrades, facility expansions, and new technologies that will improve efficiency, production capacity, and environmental performance. The goal? To help grow the economy by increasing facilities while supporting jobs. Well, it might be summer break, but for some students, they're choosing to learn during their off time. Everything from dissecting hearts to exploring DNA and playing with ultrasounds. It's all part of a biomedical summer camp at the University of Manitoba. CBC's Chelsea Kemp has more.
These students are learning all about the human body using an ultrasound. About 100 grades 6 to 12 students are diving into lab simulations and workshops with the University of Manitoba this week. 15-year-old Mohammed Gashoot says he wants to be a doctor when he grows up.
I think this program in general is going to help me by improving my knowledge, or general knowledge about medicine, and helping me make connections with people.
It's all part of a free summer camp aiming to get youth excited about health sciences. The group is the first to attend the camp since it went on hiatus during the COVID-19 pandemic. Director James Gilchrist says they give kids hands-on experience in the hopes they'll consider careers in the field.
There's a great impact that the Biomedical Youth Program has. It excites kids, it raises their curiosity about the world around them and the way science impacts upon the world around them.
So cedar is like a respiratory medicine.
This year, the camp is also showing how Indigenous medicines can work with Western science. Lily Senecal is Métis. She says the course has changed how she sees her future.
I want to be a nurse practitioner or a doctor, because I like just helping people. And
Chinaza Peters-Ikachi says cutting into hearts and learning about DNA has boosted her confidence.
Like before, I was a bit scared about doing medicals or anything that has to do with doctor or surgery, but now I feel like it's a normal thing and it's okay.
Gashoot says dissecting the heart opened his eyes to how it all works.
After I got used to it and cutting it open, I got to experience that the heart is made out of vital components and that every piece does its own job, and how it's very important for us to take care of it.
Organizers say they want to regrow the program to pre-pandemic levels of around 200 kids to show even more young people how cool science and learning can be. Chelsea Kemp, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Riley Lechuk in now. Riley, that's a pretty cool camp. That is an indoor one. Lots of outdoor camps as well, keeping an eye on the temperatures and the smoke, of course.
Yeah, certainly. I'll talk a bit about the air quality a little bit later in the show, Brittany, but temperature-wise, pretty pleasant throughout the afternoon today. 24 in Winnipeg, a bit cooler back to the west, where we have had a little bit of cloud cover and a few stray showers out of some of that through the afternoon. The PA at 22, 22s and 23s into northwestern Ontario as well. So an air quality warning into Flin Flon and air quality statement in the southwest corner of the province, but you'll notice a much smaller footprint than we saw through the evening last night into the early morning. So there's some of those stray showers I was talking about. We have a bit of a competing air mass situation here, which helped kind of keep some of that smoke at bay from southern Manitoba throughout the day today. I'll get into that in a little bit. 25 degrees as we get into your Thursday afternoon. Some hazy periods once again. Air quality health index up at around 4 through the afternoon. Tomorrow I'll have more coming up.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
A busy St. Vital intersection will be closing for hours-long stretches. What you need to know, coming up. If you're driving in the south end of the city, you can expect a slower commute, all because of road work. The city is limiting traffic at the intersection of Abinogi-Mikina and St. Mary's Road for the next several days. CBC's Mike Arsenault spoke with drivers about the delays.
Construction barricades are already in place so the City of Winnipeg can make improvements to the intersection of Abinogi-Mikina and St. Mary's Road. The city says the work will take 7 days to complete. For Jasjeet Brar, day one has been an inconvenience.
Today's commute is supposed to be only like 5-7 minutes, but already it's probably been closer to 15 minutes. So, not looking forward to that.
From July 22nd to 24th, Abinogi-Mikina will be down to 1 lane of traffic going east-west, and St. Mary's Road will be down to 1 lane going north-south. Left turns in all directions will also be down to 1 lane. On July 25th, there will be no left turns in any direction at the intersection, no through traffic on St. Mary's in all directions, and only 1 lane will be open each way on Abinogi. From the 26th to the 28th, the intersection will essentially be closed, and only right turns will be allowed at the corner. People using Winnipeg Transit, like Mina Tofik, might also feel the effects. He worries the construction will impact the bus schedule.
I don't want to have to walk or worry about, how I'm gonna get home.
The city says the work will start every evening at 6 p.m., and they can't start any later because some of the work has to be done in the daylight. It says it will take 12 hours each day to complete the work, and the goal is to have the intersection open every morning for rush hour traffic. Some commuters weren't bothered by the construction on the corner.
Well, when they got to do the work, they got to do the work. If it's going to make it better, great.
Brar isn't looking forward to his commute for the next 7 days.
Because now even a short trip ends up taking quite a while.
The city says this work is part of a road reconstruction project that stretches westbound along Abinogi-Mikina from Dakota Street to River Road. Mike Arsenault, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Dozens spent the morning lining up outside Manitoba Public Insurance, hoping to land a spot in a popular driving program. This was the scene this morning outside MPI on Main Street. Registration for the fall session of Driver's Ed opened at 8 o'clock this morning. MPI says there's nearly 4,700 spots available for students learning to drive. That's up from 4,200 last September. Canada's premiers have wrapped up their annual meeting with discussions on immigration, bail reform, and healthcare. Donald Trump's trade war seemed to dominate discussions the first 2 days, with the Prime Minister joining the talks Tuesday. The premiers were asked if other issues were taking a back seat.
The economic conversation that we've been having because of the threat that Trump posed is critical and takes up a lot of space, but we also have been able to meet so frequently that we can continue to talk about ways that we can improve our healthcare system collectively and how we can push the federal government to have a more responsive immigration system in the hands of the provinces.
On immigration, Ontario's premier says he's not going to wait for the federal government to issue work permits to asylum seekers. Doug Ford says the province will directly issue them work permits. Lipedema is a common chronic condition mostly affecting women. It causes painful fat deposits, swelling, and sometimes affects mobility. But Canada's healthcare doesn't cover any treatment for it. As Michelle Allen reports, advocates say that needs to change.
My swelling is so hard, my calf doesn't move.
Helen Papadolius says managing her stage 3 lipedema is a full-time job. She gets pain and swelling from the fat deposits that are building up in her limbs. Papadolius needs to constantly wear special compression garments.
So maybe instead of becoming immobile in 5 years, maybe it'll take 10, 15 years, unless I get the surgery.
Researchers estimate that lipedema could affect 1 in 9 women, but there's no extensive data to say how many in Canada may be affected. As it progresses, it can make it hard to bend your legs, stand, or walk. The condition is believed to be genetic. Papadolius says her doctor recommends surgery, but it's not available in Canada. Dr. Caitlin Sear is a family doctor in Winnipeg. She says lipedema is often mistaken for obesity.
There is good evidence that surgery is an effective treatment.
Germany just announced it will publicly cover surgery for patients with all stages of lipedema after a study proved that surgery helps.
And then, of course, there's our...
Advocates like Emma Cloney say Canada should follow Germany's lead.
Patients, unfortunately, live with disability, chronic pain, leave the workforce early, and in some cases, apply for MAID.
Manitoba says it will meet with Lipedema Canada to discuss further support. Ontario says it doesn't cover lipedema surgery because it's considered experimental.
If I don't find the money to do surgeries because they're not available in Canada, then I'm going to become unable to walk.
Papadolius says she's considering traveling to Greece to pay for surgery out of pocket, as she can't afford to wait for changes at home. Michelle Allen, CBC News, Toronto.
Riley's back in now, and it doesn't seem to matter the day. We can't seem to shake all of that smoke that we've been dealing with for really weeks now.
Yeah, it's going to continue to be an issue, Brittany, for quite some time, coming and going across southern Manitoba and more consistent through parts of the north. We did get a bit of a reprieve from it through the afternoon hours today, although we're starting to see it return again in parts of the west, at least. In the last little bit here, last few minutes actually, we did have an air quality statement, which I can show you on the map for Westman, issued into Brandon, Verdon, into Riding Mountain National Park again. So yes, we are expecting that smoke and that haze to come and go over the next little while here. Although as we get into the weekend, I think we'll get a bit of a break from it, but it does return as we get into next week and we see a bit of a shift in winds again. A couple things that are happening sort of big picture. First off, high pressure or low pressure system over Hudson Bay, that's pushing winds down as this is into a more counterclockwise flow, pushing some of that down into parts of central Manitoba. But on the other end, we have in Minnesota another area of low pressure, counterclockwise rotation on that one as well. So you kind of get a bit of a competition between those two air masses, and the southerly one kind of won out today. That helped keep things at bay here in southern Manitoba, but as you just saw, some of those statements and warnings coming and going as things fluctuate here as we get through the next couple of days at least. So overnight into Thursday morning, few clouds passing by. Out of some of this, the slightest chance of a shower. I do have a slight chance of a scattered shower in the forecast for Winnipeg through the evening. We've seen some of that thunderstorm popping up into parts of western Manitoba again tonight. Not expecting anything in the way of severe weather, but just be on the lookout that we could run into some isolated showers as we get into the overnight hours into early morning on Thursday. Into Friday, things clear out thanks to high pressure, mainly sunny skies, but I'm watching an area of low pressure that is moving into northern Manitoba as we get through the day on Friday. This bringing some showers to parts of the north as we get through Friday into the day on Saturday, but a warm front tracking south of this does a couple of things. It does boost our temperatures as we get toward the weekend, introduces a bit more humidity, but also funnels that risk of thunderstorms as we get into the overnight hours into Saturday morning. So just know that as we get into Saturday, we could get into some thunderstorms, and that fuels a risk of thunderstorms of some of that heat and humidity as we get into the weekend, into even Monday morning. I think a chance of some thunderstorms. Looking at the potential, some of these numbers may be a bit high, but up to 10 millimeters of rain in parts of northern Manitoba through the weekend. Temperatures closer to seasonal into Thursday, 25s, 26s across the south. And then look at what happens on our long range. 31, feeling closer to 40 as we get into the weekend, Brittany, and that risk of thunderstorms into Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
This birthday is soaring to new heights over and over and over. We'll take you there straight ahead. Greek authorities have closed the Acropolis to tourists for the third time this summer. A drone with thermal sensors shows how bad the heat wave is in Athens. Temperatures across the Greek capital have regularly soared above 40 degrees in recent days. The city has had to close a number of popular landmarks during those peak afternoon temperatures, with some parts of the ground temperatures hitting 75 degrees. While summers in Greece attract millions of visitors, climate change has made wildfires and heat waves there more frequent and more severe.
All right, time for that part of the show that I know many of you look forward to, the dog walking forecast. And as we get into Thursday, probably a little bit less hazy into the morning hours if you're more of a morning walker. This is Charlie. Thank you, Angelina and family, who are longtime viewers. First time they've sent their pup in, enjoying the pool. Love it. That's what I want to be doing as well, except I have to work tomorrow, so I'll be here. 25 degrees in the afternoon. West wind, again, we could get into a little bit of haze, but that does start to die off as we get into Friday. Bit of a change in wind. That's going to introduce some humidity into our into the equation here. 39, closer to 40 with the humidity into Saturday. There's that risk we could see some thunderstorms as we get into the weekend. 28 for Sunday, 26 a bit breezy on Monday, and temperatures seasonal right into the middle of next week. A 40th birthday is a pretty big deal for some people. There's usually some kind of party, barbecues, probably some kind of cake as well.
Hopefully some cake. A wooden roller coaster at Montreal's amusement park is marking 40 years in operations. Now, to celebrate, 40 people rode the coaster for 40 consecutive minutes. Here's your daily lift. Some lucky few got to take the anniversary ride. Laurent's Monster includes 2 different paths, and the roller coaster can reach speeds of up to 96 kilometers an hour. That makes it one of the largest wooden double-track roller coasters in the world.
You think you're gonna die at every second, like it just creaks.
That's the #1 this year, the Monster. It's a piece of history.
In the summer, there are daily inspections, but maintenance continues into the winter months as well. Workers scale the immense structure to look for issues, loose screws, bolts that might need tightening as well. The creaks
Yeah.
would do it for me.
You know, I'm not a heights girl.
No, me neither.
I do like a good roller coaster, but 40 minutes is about 39 minutes too long.
I agree. I agree with you.
But hey, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Let's hope it
There you
lasts
go.
many, many more. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.